Happy Sunday, friends. Episode 2 of Becoming a Wargamer. Now is the time to focus on getting some more of these models finished up. Since the last episode where we left off, I have been a little bit productive. We managed to finish 2 bases for some miniatures. Now, one is Obi-Wan's, my favourite hero model, and probably one of my favourite Shatterpoint minis I've painted to date. And then the second one is Tech, the best boy from the Bad Batch. Now, for these bases, I'll put some B-roll in here, just like the models on a spinny thing. But I went very simple in the end because I was hitting a lot of like analysis paralysis where I was doing so much research, trying to look for something cool, something that's going to really stand out. And in the end, I just had like a million ideas and I wasn't really committing to any of them. So I thought, scrap it. And I just put some colors on my palette and I just started wet blending them in. You can see here's where that was currently looking. I don't know. It's probably not great to see. It looks brown, which it is brown. It's brown. And if you followed anything I've done painting-wise, you'll know I love brown. So yeah, that is where we're currently at. Now, the main reason why I just settled on this scheme was, like I said earlier, this analysis paralysis was kicking my ass, and I was deciding and spending way too much time just like thinking about how cool these bases would be instead of actually making these bases be cool. And the whole goal of this series and project is so I can actually start playing a war game and experience it and see how fun it is and see if that converts me. And I think because I still haven't done it yet or played the game, there's still that bit of hesitancy where it's just like, oh, you can just take forever and do this stuff. But I'll never play it by the end of the year at this point if that keeps up. So the goal is to get these done. Not focus on trying to make them like the coolest looking things ever. Just they're a base. They don't have to be crazy. So that's a bit of rewiring of my brain on my behalf. But we're getting there, and it feels good. So today we're going to work on Crosshair's base. The mini's done. As you can see, the bottom here is, maybe you can't see. But anyway, the bottom of the mini is, the paint's chipped up a bit of it from the primer because I had it on blue tack when I originally primed it on my handle. So we're just going to add some texture paste in there to fix that up. But yeah, that's the goal today. We're going to start on it at least. I don't know if I'll finish it today. It's a Sunday, and Sunday's housework day, and the fun adult things that you have to do. Let's go. Alrighty, so my camera's on a tripod. I'm going to start painting, but I'm going to show you how I set up my palette anyway, because I think some people do a lot of prep or care. I'm like the complete opposite. It is like pretty low maintenance. So I figured I'd just show you how I set up everything and go from there. Cool. All right, let's get set up. I genuinely love this view of my desk. Most people would look at this and think that is fucking chaos, but this is just, it looks so nice. So here's what we're working on, Crosshair's base. So this palette here has been like this for about a week now. So these paints are probably a bit shit. Now, I like to have fresh water at the beginning of every paint session. So I just tip out the old water, fill the cup up with fresh water. I then like to have one of these. It's like a oil bottle or a bottle that tattoo artists use to sort of clean up the tattoos. But it's just this like spout here, which I use to just wet down some paper towel I have off to the side here. So I like to have a bit of wet paper towel just to get excess paint off and help with cleaning the brushes when I'm sort of like molding them, I guess making the point of them. So that's like 2 of the things in my setup. Now, all these paints that have been here for a week, I'm not really fussed. Like you can see it's separated fully here. I just start doing this, mixing it back up. I just add a bit of the water from the container or the jar, in this case my Games Workshop one that I've had since I started this hobby, and that's all I kind of do just to reactivate it. And then I use my paper towel like this to sort of get the point back. This is a very old brush that I'm using currently. You can see this paint here is separated a lot. That's okay, we can always add more. Get the black in here too, which this is just used for the bases, the rim, But I just like to do this, just a bit of housekeeping, I guess, before I start a session, just in case anyone was interested, or they're kind of new, or they're not sure how they to approach anything like this. I don't need to change the palette every time, or set up new paints every time, or even put them in neat little rows. Like that stuff's, I don't know, that's crazy. All right, first things first, let's get this out, start painting. So I've already put down a layer of brown, and I wet blended all of this. Now, if you don't know what wet blending is, I basically have all my paints like this, wet, and I just start doing this. And then I get some of the brown, and I just start mushing it in with the purple. And not fully, like you're not trying to mix it, you're just trying to blend them essentially together. So I might go on the edge of it, if that makes sense, and go that way. Now here, because there's actually a cutoff on the base, so see how there's a bit of it's all wet still? Now that's why it's called wet blending, because it allows you to push the paint around and mix it while it's still wet and blend it together somewhat. So that's kind of what we're focusing on here. You may find your own way to do things. I don't think there's any right or wrong way with this stuff when it comes to it. What works for you works, and I think that's what's important, is doing it. I want to try and keep the shadow around this area here. So shadowed in there, lighter as we get out. Alright, so here's where we are after a few minutes. Well, a bit more than that, but you get what I mean. So we've established in this area here, this is the metal texture. So I've added that more purpley tone into the shadows here to try and create a bit of depth. And then this is more bronzy stuff. And then we'll do what we've done on the other bases with essentially edge highlighting the whole thing with this other color down here, you can see off to the side. Here is some of the dirt area, so this is going to go up to the lightest area we have, which will be a bit of orange. Might mix in a bit brighter colors in there just to add up, but very much keeping it orange and purple is the idea. Some rocks here, this sort of wall. Now, I can't tell if it is metal or stone, but I like the idea that it is stone with these metal bits hanging off of it, so that's how we're going to keep it, I think, for this one here. And then just go, I've given them a rough coloring, just to sort of highlight the difference in the texture there. But I like where it's going at the moment. Alright, so here we are after a couple of hours of smashing some paint on this. So, we've gone ahead and kept the purple, but I've also done a wash of black over this. Just this thin down black paint here with some water, just to sort of darken it up a little bit more so it has a bit more contrast compared to the dirt. We're keeping the walls very brown, and I am going to go in and do a light sort of, I guess you could say, little edge highlighting and refinement with this paint here from Scout 75. Just around the tops and the cracks in that area here, just to sort of highlight them a little bit more. And then what we'll do is go around and do a nice black rim for the base. I'll then give this a little matte varnish just to see how it's all looking. I might still do some more refinement on the pipes and that along here, just to add a bit more to it, but I'm trying to keep this simple and achievable within, say, a day to get one of these turned around. Or maybe a couple even, if you have the time. But yeah, we're looking just for a couple of hours just to smash one of these out, but it's getting there. Where's the little boy himself? So yeah, he'll be... Oh, we dodged everything. That is very lucky. Whew! Alright, let's hold this. Him sitting there. This sort of a pose. So I'm quite cool, happy with it. Looks cool. I want to say at least 2 weeks later since I filmed the previous part of the video that you would have watched up until this point. And I have been busy boy, very busy. So in that time, last I showed you, I had finished off Tech and Obi-Wan for Shatterpoint. Now, since then, I've been working on the Crosshair one, which has been most of this video. He's finished, by the way. The base is done, he's glued down, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now, at that point in time, I had a few options to kind of sit back and take things a bit easier, or let's just smash out the rest of the figures. So, we have Hunter here. His base, very similar concept with the metal technique that we did, and Hunter is now finished as well. And then Echo is also finished. So that's another one done. Now, there's only one model left to show, which is Wrecker and Omega, the big unit for the game. So they are also finished. I managed to finish all of the Bad Batch and Obi-Wan, which I am stoked about. So that means the last 2 models to finish are these 2 Clone Troopers, which I have been putting off because my airbrush and compressor broke. Because I hate painting white, and I wanted to, especially with these guys, since they are pretty much all white. And I then went to use Storm's airbrush and compressor, and that also broke. So we are airbrushless and compressorless at this moment. So I've been putting that off, but in that time I have done all the rest of the figures. So fingers crossed, with the way things are going, I will be playing a game this year. I think the whole point of this sort of series of videos that I'm doing to build up to playing the war game and then film beyond that, whatever happens, is to keep me motivated, but also to try and keep things simple. Most of the projects I do take a really long time, or now, especially with my display painting kind of journey, they take even longer than before, as I have just a lot of interests that I chase after instead of purely painting. So it feels amazing to see all of these characters as they are complete. And yeah, I think the whole purpose of this is just keeping it simple. I'm making bases that I am happy with, that they're still somewhat of a high quality for my standard at least, and they look cool, and I think they feel really good together. I would love to do some airbrush OSL spray on the back of these guys too, especially the Wrecker and Omega model, but that might come later on. Right now, the goal is to get these finished. So for this second video, I hope you enjoyed seeing a bit of my process of how I painted, and I managed to get a lot of it done, which I'm really proud of. All right, friends, thank you for sticking around. I will see you in episode 3, where we will probably try and smash out both of these. All right, thanks a lot, friends. Like and subscribe if you're into any of that garbage, and I'll see you in the next video. Catches.